So we recently just had the release of the supposedly last Fox branded X-Men movie, unless you're still holding out for that New Mutants film. It's coming, folks, it's definitely coming. Anyway, Fox's last branded X-Men movie, X-Men Dark something, what? Dark Phoenix? Again? And while the film is getting some challenging reviews, we thought, why not go back to where it all started? The year 2000, a time where Y2K was supposed to destroy us all for no real logical reasons. The cancerous show known as Big Brother was born, and the most indestructible object and possibly deadly weapon was introduced to the world. That's right, we're taking a look at the first X-Men movie. So if you had questions like, which interesting choice did Fox initially have for the role of director? What were some of the original story ideas pitched for this movie? And how fucked really is the timeline for these films? Well, I'm going to answer that one right now. Very. Number 1. So X-Men is of course based on the famous X-Men comics created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. The first original screenplay for an X-Men movie was created by Marvel Comics writers and chief editors Jerry Conway and Roy Thomas way back in 1984, when Orion Pictures held the option on the film rights. However, development on the film was paused once Orion began facing financial troubles. During 1989 and 1990, discussions began once again about an X-Men film adaptation, with James Cameron as a possible producer and Kathryn Bigelow as director. A story treatment was even written by Bigelow and had, wait for it, Bob Hoskins as Wolverine and Angela Bassett as Storm. Although this film never came to be made, and eventually the film rights reverted back to Marvel. After the success of the animated series, producer Lauren Donner purchased the film rights and had several writers create pitches and treatments for a possible story. We'll get more into that later in the video, and eventually Fox managed to get hold of the rights, and after many more treatments, they settled on a script and got Bryan Singer to direct. Number 2. Just as there were many versions of the film's story floating around before something was settled, so too were there many choices for actors floating around. Some of those possible choices included Russell Crowe for the role of Wolverine. Other people considered for that role were Keanu Reeves, Mel Gibson, Aaron Eckhart, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Viggo Mortensen, Edward Norton, and as stated earlier, Bob Hoskins. Drew Barrymore, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Katie Holmes, Alicia Silverstone, and Catherine Isabel were all considered for the role of Rogue. Terrence Stamp was considered for the role of Magneto before Ian McKellen landed that role, and Selma Blair, Lucy Lawless, and Maria Bello were considered for the role of Jean Grey. Ooh, it's number 3. Hugh Jackman took ice cold showers every morning of filming in order to help get into the character. This tradition started when jumping into the shower at 5 AM before realising that there was no hot water. Shocked, awake, but not wanting to wake his sleeping wife, he gritted his teeth and bore it, before realising that this mindset, wanting to scream and lash out at something but having to hold it in, was the mentality that Wolverine is in constantly. He then made cold showers his Wolverine preparation routine for each movie featuring the character. It's number 4. Similar to Magneto's and Rogue's background segments, scenes explaining Storm's and Cyclops' background were scripted and storyboarded but never shot. Storm's background segment involved her changing the weather drastically in her hometown in Kenya, causing vast damages. Cyclops' story would show him manifesting his mutant power at school as a teenager, causing him to accidentally destroy a school bathroom, which was later shot and used in X-Men Apocalypse. There was a brief talk of shooting these scenes while shooting X-Men 2 in order to insert them into the X-Men Special Edition DVD, but the idea was later scrapped. Scenes of Storm and Cyclops as children were eventually filmed for, oh no, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Although Storm's scenes were eventually deleted from the final print. I got 5 on it. Oh, copyright strike. Wolverine's famous metal claws were built so Hugh Jackman could safely put them on and off. Production had insisted that they be kept on at all times under full prosthetic. However, designer Gordon Smith refused to do this. Later, production also insisted that the blades be made from real metal. However, Gordon Smith also refused to do this and instead made the claws from molded plaster. Hundreds of these claws were created for Hugh Jackman and his stunt doubles. It's number 6. In the scene with Logan and Rogue on the train prior to Magneto's attack, it is noticeable that Hugh Jackman has not yet found his character. The timbre of his voice is not the Wolverine heard in the rest of the film. Jackman had stated behind the scenes that he had difficulty finding Wolverine in the beginning and was in fact in real danger of being fired after 3 weeks of filming, when both studio executives and Bryan Singer told him that they were not happy with what they saw. That is harsh. Jackman credits his wife for giving him the confidence to trust in his own abilities, and from the 4th week onwards, his performance dramatically improved. Number 7, baby. Number 7. Right, let's get into the many concepts and story treatments of this film. One of the first story ideas for the film involved Professor X recruiting Wolverine into the X-Men, which consisted of Cyclops, Jean Grey, Iceman, Beast and Angel. The Brotherhood of Mutants were to feature as well, much like they do in the final story, and included such members as Magneto, Sabretooth, Toad, Juggernaut and the Blob.
You just call me Blob?
The story would see the Brotherhood attempting to conquer New York City for, I don't know, reasons I guess. I don't know, because they're bad guys. The story also featured Bolivar Trask attacking the X-Men with 8 feet tall sentinels. The script focused on the rivalry between Wolverine and Cyclops Cyclops' self-doubt about being a field leader. Part of the backstory for Magneto made him the cause of the Chernobyl disaster, which is, pretty bold. The script also featured the X-Copter, which I didn't even know was a thing, and the Danger Room. Other concepts had a romantic relationship between Wolverine and Storm, and even Jean Grey eventually dressed as the Phoenix. Boy, they can't get enough of that Phoenix, can they? You wanna know a secret? It's number 8. So Bryan Singer eventually directed this film and kickstarted the X-Men film franchise, but he was not Fox's first choice. For some unknown bizarre reason, and maybe one that involves meth, but Brett Ratner of all people was considered for the role of director on this movie. I don't know, it was the late 90s, it was a different time. Robert Rodriguez was offered the chance to direct the film but turned it down. Then Fox turned their eyes to my worst enemy, Paul W.S. Anderson, because of the success of Mortal Kombat. He turned it down because he wanted to make Event Horizon. Following the release of The Usual Suspects, Bryan Singer was looking to do a science fiction film, and Fox offered him Alien Resurrection, but producer Tom DeSanto felt he would be more appropriate for X-Men. Good heavens, number 9. Hugh Jackman played Wolverine for 17 years and 9 films, making him one of the longest running actors to play a superhero role. Now he just wants to sing to his heart's content. I say, old chap, it's number 10. Even back in the year 2000, the legend that is Stan Lee was making cameos. He appears around the 44-minute mark in the film as a man on the beach near the hot dog stand as Senator Kelly walks out of the water. Well, there you go, 10 facts about the X-Men movie. There's a ton more facts about this film and the other films in the franchise, so who knows, we may come back to this. So did you watch X-Men Phoenix Fun Time, whatever it's called? Was it total shite? Because I haven't actually seen it. But I'd be interested to hear what people think about this film, so let me know down in the comments. And if you like this, then why not check out our other film facts videos? Or if you want to help us grow into something bigger and better, then please do consider subscribing to our channel, or liking the video, or even sharing it. Any and all of those things really do help us out a lot. Well, thanks for watching, guys.